Okay, it's 2 o'clock. I like to start right on time. Hope everybody is doing well. We are joined by Mr. John J.J. Murray. He is an award-winning educator and media professional with 30 years in the video production industry. He has worked in 11 small and major market TV stations, as well as taught high school, which God bless you, and college media production. Mr. Murray currently manages the Upper Midwest Emmy Awards and freelances as an IATSE union stagehand and AV event tech for concerts and conventions. So lots and lots of experience. Welcome. I am going to turn it over to you, and I'm going to mute myself unless I need to interject.
Great, thank you. And if anyone has a question at any time, be sure to raise your hand or do whatever you need to do to let our moderator know, and we'll help answer your questions. Thanks for joining me. I put together this session to try to help people with just organizational skills, because ideas are all great in the head, but somehow you have to get everything down on paper to get the ball rolling and to make sure you cover all of your bases. I just want to show you a few of the events that I've done in the last couple of years. This was a Super Bowl halftime show when the Super Bowl was here in Minneapolis a few years ago. Reputation. What musical artist had that tour? I can't remember. I think it was was that a Taylor Swift? Did she have a Reputation tour or something like that? I don't know. I got the state fair. I've got Target corporate meetings. Just all sorts of things. There's just live events are everywhere. From producing just the award show, just doing STN stuff is an event, and there's writers and producers and there's camera operators and there's staff and there's all of this stuff. So no matter what project that you're doing, there's a lot of organization that needs to go into it. I wish I could tell you that there was one great, clear cut standard formula for spreadsheets and organizational flow charts and all that. There isn't. So, but there are a lot of things that everything is included. So I'm going to, just kind of hopefully go through some of the top key things that you need to think about with your production, and how you organize them is really up to you. I'll show you a couple of examples, but everybody does stuff a little bit differently. So quickly, I am going to share my screen here. All right, can you folks see it? I hope so, right? Everybody, I get a yes. So again, here's a few snapshots of some concerts, production things that I've been able to work on. They range from everything from corporate events to private events, nonprofit events. Bottom bottom right hand corner there, it looks like a little game show. That was Target corporate meetings, and one of the things that they did for their big annual meetings is they did a game show. It's kind of like The Price is Right, but they called it Right on Target. And we have to set all this up, and we have the roving camera, and it's just all sorts of fun stuff. But these are major events that involve hundreds and hundreds of people, and just the coordination to pull it all off, because myself as a union stagehand, I get the call and I show up. I don't know what the show is. I have no idea how it's produced, how it's put together. I'm hired for a particular job, whether it's to set up the stage, set up the lighting, set up the video. I'm the extra muscle, and they have their specific crew that tells me what to do and how to set it up, but it's all highly organized. Any project has these essentials. You have a budget. You have to know what you're going to spend. And that covers a variety of things. And I'll show you a couple different things, but there is a budget. How much is it going to cost? And within that budget, you have to figure out everything that you're going to need. And that's where your checklist is. What is the gear? What is the people? What is the space? What are the permits? What are all of that? You have to create a checklist of all the things that you need for your production. And you have to think about permits, licenses. You can't just go and shoot anywhere you want. There's actually been several documented cases where people have been shooting their own movies or shorts or whatnot in public spaces, and they've had like a crime or violence theme to them, and they're just actors doing their thing, but they don't have big setups, lights, everything. People just think somebody's committing a crime, and they have called the cops on people shooting their own movies because they haven't gotten the permit. They didn't let landowners know, neighbors know. So even if you're shooting something in your own yard and it's a scene with a couple people pointing guns at each other, your neighbors, if they don't know what's going on, might just call the cops. So even if you're doing stuff like that, it's wise to let your neighbors know, even if you're doing stuff on your own property, so they just don't freak out. Um, you need power. You have to have power. Even shooting outdoors, how are you going to have power? Where's the quickest place to get batteries charged? All of that. Are your vehicles hooked up? I have a truck now that actually has an AC plug-in in my truck. Thank goodness. So now my truck is an actual generator. So you have to think about the power. And then crew, food, drinks, restrooms. You are involving people and you are asking them to give up their time to help you on projects or work with you on a project. But you have to realize their time is valuable. That's where scheduling also comes in. If you have to have a schedule and stick to it. It amazes me with the concerts and stuff that we do that, I mean, you folks go to the concert and you enjoy it and you have a good time and you go home. Setup for that concert usually starts about 7 or 8 a.m. That arena is empty by 2 a.m. So all of that stuff that you see in your concerts at your arenas gets hauled in the morning, set up during the day. They do a sound check in the afternoon. You watch the show, they tear it out, they put it in trucks, and it's gone by 2 a.m. That is how tight of ships that they run, and it's because of how they schedule things and how they know in what order to put things up and what crew is doing what at what time, and it's building layers upon layers till you get the actual product complete. So let's talk about the budget. Know what you need, know how much it will cost, and if you have to rent stuff or buy stuff, get at least three estimates and make sure you're getting the best deal for it. Here is a budget spreadsheet of what we use to just figure out our Emmy Awards ceremony. So we have the production end of the Emmy Awards, which is the actual show up on stage. But then we have dinner and all of this other stuff that we have to think about. So I'm just going to run down some things. We have to get insurance just to hold our event, no matter where we have. We have to get insurance. Pre and post production, this is my editor. We have to pay a teleprompter. We pay a DJ. We have to pay venue costs, company and equipment that we may need to run or use, video screens if we have to rent them, crew, food and beverage, award courier. This is someone just to get our awards to the show. A photographer, the giant statues are what we have on the stage. We have a crew that stores them and they have to take care of that. The envelopes, please, are just the envelopes that we look at all of the minute details that we are going through because we have to understand how much is all of this going to cost. And then just even on the event side, we have, whoops. See, that's what I get for scrolling my mouse accidentally. um, Venue stuff, the silent auction. If we use a mobile service, we have to pay for that. Searchlights, spotlights, food, hosted bar, coat check, auction supplies, printed programs that are on the table, swag bags, name tags, lanyards, everything has a price. And then when you total it up, and here's what we're doing, we were looking at getting bids from different venues. And then I put this into a spreadsheet so our board can make a decision on which venue is going to give us the best bang for our buck. So that's what I do for the budget for that event, for that production. Those are the things that I need. Now, I don't have every single thing down here. I have company and equipment. I have a separate budget there. I just, well, how many camera operators are we going to have? A technical director, a lighting operator. Those people, there's another little mini budget just for that end. So some of these are just kind of headers. And then, of course, anybody that does this usually works for a company, and the company has an, ah, see, I'm not used to rolling my roll button here. This is our overall budget for our organization. We have all the different line items of things that bring in income. This is the income that we bring in for the year. These are all of our expenses, and they're broken out into committees, the Emmy Awards. We have miscellaneous expenses here, which is the office, shipping, postage, taxes, membership. I mean, everything is line itemed. So you know what you're spending, you know what you're taking in. This is also good for you for those who need money, who need to ask for money, because people are always going to want to know, well, how much money do you need and why do you need it? And if you can explain it and have it like this in this organization, that just helps you run um, a better operation. Now, when we think about the venue, it's venue or on location anywhere. The size, space, purpose, layout, floor plan. A lot of these are done with site checks where you actually go to the specific place and look at it for yourself. The drawing up there is actually a design for Aveda. Some of you maybe know of Aveda hair care, skin care products. It's a Minnesota company, and they have an annual or biannual convention here and modeling show and all sorts. It's just outrageous. And that this was one of their artist conceptions of what their stage would look like. And the color stuff there is video walls. Those are just big, huge, giant 30-foot video walls with all sorts of different images and stuff like that. So you look at the venues. Here are the diagrams that we were given for working the Super Bowl. The bottom left-hand side, the black and white, you'll see all those little different diagrams. Each one of those little square angle things is a different piece of the stage. And this is how they get the stage for the Super Bowl on and off the field. It's all made in a bunch of little pieces. They know where to store them. We build them off site. We wheel them into the arena. They get wheeled out into the floor. Everybody has their own specific path. I mean, they give each piece, and I got to lead one piece. It was cart 3 out of 21 pieces, I think there were. And then I had 10 volunteers that helped push everything. But I was given a packet. Here is what my piece looks like. Here's all the elements on my piece. Here is the direction in which the piece is going to go and get laid in. Here's how it's going to get locked up. Here's how it's going to get taken out. Here's how it's going to. They gave me a little packet, and they made one for each one of the pieces. That is how organized the Super Bowl is, because when you think about it, they have 6 minutes to get that stage all set up for the show. And if they don't make it in that 6 minutes, they face heavy, heavy, heavy fines from the NFL. That is how strict they are on time. So everything is choreographed down to the second for the Super Bowl halftime show. It was just an amazing, amazing experience. Here are other diagrams where they showed us where pieces were going to be stored, during the pregame, the route that we would take from the area from which we were building the stuff. It was just completely fascinating. So when you're checking out your sites, where you're going to do things, how you're going to do things, contract, directions, parking, the people coming to work for you need to know, where can they park? Where do they have to check in? How do they get there? When are they supposed to be there? Equipment, loading, storage. Where's all your gear going to go? How's it going to be out of sight from the shots that you need? Security, Depending again upon the size of your production, you may or may not want to have security, but it is something that should automatically be on your checklist and you decide whether you need it or not and then move forward. Do you need furniture, props, signage, other stuff, electricity, things like that? Uh, what's the noise of the location? You may want to shoot in a park, but if the park is by train tracks, you should probably actually research what the train schedule is. For old people like me, and maybe some of the younger folks may remember it from their parents, but who's heard of the movie Caddyshack? Okay, it's a golf movie starring Bill Murray and a bunch of others, and it was done in late 70s, early 80s, I think. But it was shot on a golf course near a very busy airport in Florida. And there were times where they only had 10 minutes of gap to actually shoot their scene before airport noise um, wreaked havoc. So think about the noise around the location. Figure out who your personnel is, who needs to be there and why and what time. Not everybody has to be there at the beginning of the day, especially if their stuff isn't until later in the day. Um, the other thing with location, and I can't remember if it's on my next slide, is especially if you're doing stuff outdoors and you have particular time of day ideas for when it's going to be, go and site check at that time of day. Find out where the sun is in the sky. Find out where the moon is at night if you're shooting outdoors. Be sure to site check the time scene at which you want it to appear. You also have to take in consideration the time of year because the daylight at 7:15 in July at night is going to be different than the light at 7:15 in the winter. In all likelihood, it's going to be dark in the winter when it's light in the summer. So make sure that you consider the time of day and the light conditions and know where the sun's going to be in the sky for shadows and all of that stuff. So that is obviously another thing to consider on your location. There we go. Yep. Inside, outside, time of day, natural light, artificial light. Can you use them? Where's the power going to be in your location? Where's a crew area for people to mingle? You need to try to at least keep people together in certain areas um, so that when you need them, you can find them. That's a huge thing on any production is where's so and so? You need to know where everybody is. Uh, equipment and staff. This is again what I do for our Emmy Awards. It's kind of small, but I think if I get close enough, I can, read it. You have the production chair, you have the catering manager, the venue production manager, the production director, person doing graphics, the program invitation designs, RSVP check-in, talent, stage manager. So I'm looking at all the people I need for this production. And then down here in the bottom, this is all my guest presenters and what they're doing. And I have a separate schedule for them and when they come in, when they're expected to be backstage, when their hit time is in on stage. I let all of these people know what time they need to be there and when's the action happening and when they're dismissed. So that way, when everyone gets there, they know what they're doing. And I send it to them well in advance. I try to at least no less than 24 hours. Me, I do a week. I do a week, and then that allows in case anything changes. But at least these people know the expected time of schedule that way. Food and drink, if you need it, if you can afford it. Hungry crew uh, does not equal a happy crew. Okay. And you don't have to go overboard. Always make sure there's water on hand. Obviously, these days you have to make sure hand sanitizers on hand. And I haven't touched on any of the COVID things. I'm assuming everybody knows what restrictions they should do. Everything should be socially distanced. You should mask up. You should put up protective barriers where possible and just shoot smart. There's a whole, your states, each state has different protocols. You could probably find out some of those protocols from your state film boards. They are probably working with local producers and whatnot to come up with best practices. Here in Minnesota, we have the Minnesota Film and Television Board, so they have good resources. But don't go overboard. Don't just have water, have some snacks and anything. You know, it depends upon the size of the crew and how long they're going to be there. If you're going to be there for an hour, I wouldn't worry about it. If you're asking someone to be there 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, yes, I would have something. Or again, ask them to bring their own in the case of safety and socially distancing. Just make that aware. Um, I want to show you a video here. This was shot for crashed ice. Some of you may have seen that on TV. It's the Red Bull crashed ice. It's where these people get on ice skates and they shoot down all of these ramps and everything like that. Well, they had the national championships here in the Twin Cities for several years. And Red Bull wanted to do a promotional video called Urban Snowmobiling. And it was in conjunction to promote crashed ice. And I want you to look at this video and then think about, normally in a group setting, then I ask people to point things out and we'll see how that goes here. But just think about of all the permits that they had to get, all of the permission that they had to get, what things did they have to pre-plan or pre-build just to pull it off the day that they wanted to shoot, and start thinking of all the stuff that happened before in order to make this cool video. Oh, wrong one. Where is it? Where'd it go? Oh, I think I know what I need to do. Nope, nope. That's what I get for embedding the video.
As children, we saw the world in a special way, still untainted and unfettered. We looked around and everything was new. All we saw was beauty and opportunity. Till somewhere along the way, society's cruel tentacles took hold. They told us to be practical, to always stay between the lines. Oh, screw that.
So that's pretty cool. I'm gonna stop my share there here so I can fix my. So, geez, how many places? Let's see. They had to get for permission. St. Paul Police Department, the Ramsey County Sheriff's Department, the Public Works Department, the Street Department, the owners of the parking ramps, the buildings that they used to jump, the landowners there where the things were. I mean, that's just to get permits and find out if they have permission to do all of this. That's just even the people, there were, you didn't see their faces, but the two people sitting in the diner, with that shot from inside the diner looking out, they have to get their permission to use them. First of all, they have to pay the snowmobiler, Levi Levine or Lavelle or whatever his name is. I don't know, $5,000-$10,000 just to get him to do that, plus his travel expenses, hotel, any pre-planning time that he would have to do to site check to come up with things. Clearly, they had to have people go out there, scout out the areas of St. Paul where they wanted to build ramps, where they wanted to build jumps, where they had to add snow to the street in order to get, certain shots. They're storyboarding what the shots are going to be looking like. I mean, it's intense. The pre-planning that it takes to create that video, and then the budget. And so they come up with all these things that they, what are we going to do and how many jumps do we want to do? And they start totaling it up. Well, what's it going to cost to build this jump? What's it going to cost for snow removal? What's it going to cost for and it just adds up, and up. And all of that is done ahead of time and then pitched and, sold, sponsorship, however they get the money to pay for it or pay for it out of their own pocket to do it. But they have to gather that information in order to pitch the idea, and then get permission and get green lighted, and then they have to schedule everything, and decide when is the shoot day going to shoot day or days. What are your backup days in case there's bad weather? Fortunately, it was a cloudy, which worked out well because shooting on cloudy days outdoors is much better than having to deal with direct sunlight all day. Um, so day or days, your backup plans, to schedule what time are we going to shoot, and each area I'm sure had its own time. I don't know that they could have shot all of those in the same day. Um, maybe, um, but the day would be scheduled, and the stunts would be coordinated and they'd be executed. They would look. I don't know how many times they had to take or retake when something happened, but that's why you have to allot in time. You can't just allot the time of, okay, this stunt should only take 30 seconds. Well, that 30 seconds is probably 3 hours in order to make sure things are always gone right and test rides are done, and et cetera, et cetera. So there's just an immense amount of um, pre-planning that goes into it. Does anyone have any questions yet? All right. I want to show you our Super Bowl. Oh, shoot. Oh, sorry. I should have said from. So this is a time lapse of Super Bowl 52 halftime show setup. The beginning picture here is the very first pieces coming out of the stadium. We're going to look like a bunch of ants. I'll try to point you out to the piece that I was in charge of in my crew. But we have 6 minutes and we rehearsed this. And we spent 2 weeks building all of the pieces. Um, and there were people, I was on the carpenter crew, but there was a lighting crew, and they just worked on the lighting of all of these different pieces. There was the audio crew that had to build the audio racks that are all wheeled out there, and all the lights are wheeled out there, and all of that. Then we got to rehearse a couple times, just moving the equipment back and forth. And then we had show rehearsals, and the halftime entertainment was Justin Timberlake. Uh, it was actually over his birthday, so that was kind of cool. We all got to sing happy birthday to JT, as we like to call him. Ha ha ha. But it was just fascinating to see. And one of the main questions is, what is live at the Super Bowl? The vocals. That's it. Very few artists have ever played live at the Super Bowl. Prince played live, at least his guitar was live, and that was a requirement for him. He wouldn't do it unless he was able to play it live. The Rolling Stones, when they did it, only played live because that was just their prerequisite. So for the most part, when you see bands on stage at the Super Bowl, they're not playing anything. They have real instruments, they're just not playing anything. But the vocals are generally live.
Hey, JJ, real quick. Ethan has a question and wanted to know how long you would estimate that video took to shoot each scene.
Oh gosh. Um, I would guess that the talent was probably only there about an hour for each shot. But they had people that were there hours and hours ahead of time doing test runs and doing all of this other stuff to make sure it all works, so that when the talent shows up, the talent may only need to do it once or twice and stuff like that. So does that help? I hope.
I think so. Thank you.
Oh, why did that not work? Where's my ant video? had it there. Oh, there we go. Well, there you can see it. The lights dim. These are light bars that are coming out onto the field. These are audio racks that are coming out. Here's I tried to figure out where I was at. Here's my cart. Here's what we were doing. And we had to come in. We were the end piece, corner piece of this stage that moves in. I don't know why it's buffering like that. So that piece gets locked in. Then my crew, the volunteers, all got to sit in the end zone while myself and the rest of the union stagehands were back here because we had to do set piece changes during the show and whatnot. But that's how that was all choreographed to just get everything on stage. So let's show it one more time. I have new email. But there are particular ways. Now the wheels on these are actually airline tires that they have. I mean, these are big, heavy duty airline tires that they have on these pieces of equipment. Everything's all wired underneath. And when they get locked in, people crawl underneath and they make all the connections and do all of that. And they plug into a power source at the back end of the stadium. And you see, so it was just a very fascinating process. And we had 6 minutes to set it all up. Now, I'm going to close out of that. I don't want to save. I'm just going to show you a few various documents. Maybe have time here for questions until the end if something comes up. We call this set people. And it's just all the different types of people that you might see in things working on a television show: hairstyle, prop master, boom operator, sound mixer, unit manager, publicity, producers, directors, assistant directors. It just goes on and on. It kind of gives you a cute little caption of kind of sums up their work. This is a production flow chart, which is something that can help you organize who's going to be in charge of what and or whom. You have your producer, your production manager, director. These are your top level people. Then they organize down below. As you can see, the director also oversees the director of photography, the sound mixer, the assistant director, the art director. And then underneath the director of photography, that person's in charge of all the different camera operators and all of that. So there are different duties for crews. So if you come up with a flow chart to help organize your crew, then you can have people in position of authority and get those people all on the same page, and then the information flows downward. So flow charts also help with organization. The last concert that I worked was Kiss last year. So here's our call for the day. At 1:30 a.m., they had a house call. And this is the people who come in and they get the curtains and they get rid of the hockey arena stuff and all that from the night. At 2 a.m., there's another small crew. This is a general work call. And they, again, are prepping the arena to get ready for the trucks that are going to come in the morning. Then marking the floor, 6 a.m. That's when the road crew shows up. They start marking all the floor where showing where everything's going to hang from the ceiling, so that when we start building the stage, we know where stuff goes. They start that at 7 a.m. And there's different people. There's upriggers, downriggers, stagehands, truck loaders, forklift. This is the number of people. There's 23 people that are upriggers that are going to be up in the ceiling getting ready to help with lasers and stuff to mark things on the floor. There's 10 people down on the ground helping those 23 up in the air. There's 8 stagehands who are pushing stuff off semi trucks. There's 4 truck loaders. That means 1 truck at a time, 4 truck loaders per truck. Forklift operators, 2 of them to help unload all that stuff. Then you get in at 9 o'clock. Now you're bringing in 46 more stagehands, 8 more truck loaders, 2 more forklift operators. You see how they're scheduling things because they're getting the things off the truck in the morning. Then at 9 o'clock, they go full board just building things and getting everything done. Then you have the show. They have house lights, props, deck hands. There's 11 deck hands. These are the people that do the changeovers between the opening acts or move things on stage during the show or different things. They have 6 spotlight operators. Then you have the load out. You have to tear everything out and get done, and that starts at 10:30. They got done. They started about 11. The load out is always about a half hour before the show ends. But you have 23 people up in the ceiling, 11 downstage helping them, 72 stagehands helping to tear everything down, 16 truck loaders. That means you got 4 trucks being loaded at a time, 5 fork drivers, and 2 head riggers. These are just the local hands, us from the Twin Cities. That has nothing to do with what KISS brings themselves. They bring their audio people, they bring their video people, they bring all of these people, and they're in charge of what goes on in the show, but they break down and tell us what to do to set it up. So for their audio crew, they have 3 main crew people. The head sound engineer who works at front of house, mixing boards, setting all that up, and 2 other audio engineers, one for this side of the stage and one for this side of the stage. Same thing with video. They have their video operators, camera operators. They have our stagehands get assigned to cameras, lighting, audio, whatnot, and they tell us how to set everything up and tear everything down. So that's how that kind of basically works for a concert. That's a typical schedule. That was KISS, in and out, one day. Um, Film production's a little different. This is a flow chart, can't really see real well, but there's different layers because you have pre-production, show production, post-production, etc. Here's a typical call sheet for TV, video, whatnot. They give you the location. It's Mike's Bar. Here's the address. Here's the parking. Here's the contact. This was in England, I think. You have the producer, you have the director up there. They have the weather expectations. So they let people know what the weather's going to be like, the call time, whether there's going to be lunch. They have the cast, the role, the call time, set time, different duties like that. This is all handed out so people know what is being done. With that, you have the script, pre-production, post-production, script breakdown. I mean, everything is, you try to look for this stuff online and there's a million different ways to do everything. So I know we're getting close on our time, so I don't hear you. I think you're on mute.
I'm sorry. I don't see anybody raising their hand, but does anybody have any questions?
Yep. And here's another call sheet, time, travel home, as location, weather. Here they even put the closest hospital, parking, who it is, what time. So you're just not flying by the seat of your pants. There's whatever works best for you and the size of the crew that you're doing. But I hope I touched on, and probably too many, but there's just a lot of things to consider. the more organized it is, the more smoothly your process is going to go on shoot day or show day.
That was really fascinating. I actually took some notes.
Well, good. Yeah, and I've had a blast. And the thing about being an IATSE union stagehand is I never know what I'm going to do the next day. You know, my last call that I took was the auto show setup. I didn't know what I was going to set up at the auto show. I didn't know what booth it was, what I was going to be doing. I ended up hooking up battery packs um, to batteries because they actually disconnect the car batteries during the auto show. If you've ever been to one, and you have to actually wire the cars into the electrical. It's fascinating. But you never know what you're going to do, and you just have to be prepared to do anything. But the production companies are so organized, they're just telling you what to do and how to do it because they've been doing it. They're so, it's a well-oiled machine. That's why all these things run so smoothly, is they are highly, highly organized.
We have a couple of questions. One is for planning, what do you recommend as the best way to budget?
Well, start the list, start your list of things that you need and things that you think are going to cost money and things that you think aren't going to cost money. You know, lights, can you get away with just extra flashlights somewhere? Anything like that. So think about what you need, whether you have it or you need to rent it, buy it, whatnot. How many people do you need? Do you need to pay them? Not. You need any refreshments, anything? It's just list the things that you need, and then you can start building your budget.
Okay, and Kenny asked a question. He said, do you have an example of a rundown from an award show and any tips on constructing those? And I know you touched on a little bit of the Emmys at the beginning, but I think he's looking for an actual rundown. Ask and you shall receive, Kenny. It looks like he's got quite a few. JJ, you muted yourself. Can you unmute?
How did I do that? Bad me. So the different tabs, I don't use these last two. They're more used for news. I use other things, but here's my show rundown. I kind of build it into an organization and color code for different things. But you know, I basically have my talent, my story slug, segment slug, how many nominees are going to be, how many awards, what is the time of that segment, and then it gives me my hit time, start time. I break it out and do things like that. That is one thing that I do. The other is for my event. Um, oh, I didn't use one last year because we didn't do an event thing, but shoot, maybe 2019. I have a gala production timing and action workbook. So here's my staff and equipment. This is the contacts things that I showed you before, you know, everybody that I have working that night. I have a timeline on my next page. This gives us the time of what the time of day, the location, the staff, the task. I do awards and envelopes, how many awards and everything that I need. Scripts, how many different scripts, intros, everything. I order them, I write them, I approve them. Same thing with video and audio. What are the different video and audio elements that I need for my show? So this is a complete this is my production workbook of the elements that I need. This is my actual show that the director will use to accompany the scripts. So those are the two different items that I use for award show. You know, one is the actual show that's going on up on the air. The other is, what do I need to pull this show off, and the different elements. And it's staff and equipment, it's the timeline, it's the awards that I need, it's the scripts, and it's the video that I need. You like that one?
Yeah, that's really great. Any other questions before we have to wrap it up and get ready for the next session? I don't see any. So JJ, I really appreciate your time. It was awesome. Thank you so much.
If anyone wants any of these examples, email me, jj@midwestemmys.org. I'll be more than happy to forward you this stuff.
You are wonderful. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You bet. Have a great day.
All right. Thanks. Thanks, you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.